Hey, everyone, and welcome back to the Audacity podcast. I am one of your hosts who is losing his mind as he is trying to look as dandy as possible.
As dandy as possible.
And so,
Yes.
about all the things, Julian of Julian Creates, and who am I chatting with?
Tis I, the planner extraordinaire, not extraordinaire.
Oh.
Aaronica from Aaronica Be Cool Studio.
The hostess with the mostest when it comes to Atlanta Frocktails, which is in what, 2 weeks?
1.5 weeks exactly.
1.5. Look,
Yeah.
1.5. We
Not
are
this weekend, next weekend.
Look, y'all. And with that, as we the theme for Atlanta Frocktails is Alice in Atlanta Land.
Mm-hmm.
And then that Monday is the first Monday in May, which is the Met Gala, which is for the new exhibit Superfine, Black Dandyism, curated by the likes of Monica Miller, of the author of Slaves to Fashion, and of course the end of my challenge, hashtag so tailored for you 25.
Mm.
And we ain't just making outfits to make outfits out here. So my so tailored for you outfit is also my Alice in Atlanta land look. So we've been busy. We have been busy, but I'm super excited to head down to Atlanta. And I love saying it like that, Atlanta, for Frocktails to see friends, to showcase what I make. I love Frocktails for me. And remember, there was a little craft snark about that. People said it like when certain people come, they up here like it makes us all look bad or something like that. And I'm like, child, I come to have fun. And I use Frocktails as an opportunity to challenge myself and to make something I would not normally make. So
When did they
normally
say
I
that on? You know what? Your girl
this
has not been able to tap in like I normally would tap in and be able to be up with all of the things because I've been over here in planner mode. But I'm over here like people really said that.
so this was last year,
Oh,
after
okay.
one of the frock tales where they said that it felt like a more of a in the know cliquish event area, and like people are spending all this time, it makes people feel intimidated. And I'm like, but literally you also got to realize that certain people like we we are looking for a challenge too. This is still fun for us. This ain't all about the party for all of us, or like this ain't work. This is we coming because we want to come.
Correct.
um and it with that, I try to make things that are going to challenge me. So
Yeah, because
uh,
I mean, why be basic when you could be extra?
I look, and especially with this year's focus on Black dandyism with the Met Gala, and I have been in all things dandy. From I've read Slaves to Fashion, I've written articles in Love Sewing magazine. I had two articles with them
Hmm.
around gearing up for the Met Gala. Those are still available. You can check them out on lovesewing.co.uk to find
Hmm.
see my articles there. Um, to reading to waiting for my Vogue magazines to come, it resonates with me because I feel seen
Yeah.
with this exhibit, and really, and it relates to my song. Like I am putting time and attention because I want the world needs to know, especially in this time more than ever, that I'm here and that I am worthy and that I am like you can call me whatever you want to call me, but I still got talent and I can still do
Hmm.
some things. And I'm gonna put that shit on because I want to put it on for me.
What those kids
Um,
say? They say PTSO, put that shit
that
on.
look, and that's
That's
what
what
we
they be
do,
saying.
and that's what I'm doing. And
Hmm.
honoring is, it's funny because um, and I don't think I've ever told this story, but one of the things, like, what is one of the first things that you bought when you one of the first things you got when you got your first job? Like one of the first things you purchased with your first big check.
I think I bought shoes.
Okay. So my father tells a story about the first thing that he bought when he got like one of his like first job checks. He went to Nobby Taylor, which is a tailor here in Cincinnati, and bought a pair of tailored pants. I think they were plaid and like bell bottoms because it was the 70s.
Come on, Dad.
But he
Subscribed.
He has always loved clothes. He is the type of person, if he don't like, especially when he was like dating my mom and stuff like that, if he didn't like what she was wearing, she'll give him money. Like they will go shopping before they will go out on the
Because that
spot.
man said I have a standard.
Yeah. Like when I was a kid, if we bought shoes or something like that, I don't think I ever carried a shoebox home. I always wore new stuff out the store.
Mm,
Always. Um, or it reminds me also like I have my grandparents um picture from when they basically around the time that they got married in the 30s. Um, and like, it was at one of those old school photo places and it's like colored into everything like that. And my grandmother is in like you can see the fur collar and stole with a little hat, and
come
my
on, fur collar.
grandfather with this cute little mustache and this hat and suit and stuff like that. It's like, it is harkening back to the people who came before me. And it
Yeah.
just brings me joy and happiness. And the time that I'm putting into this is really it makes me feel good. It makes
Hmm.
me I'm ex it I have not been excited about sewing like this in a long time. And it was what I needed to enliven my own to reignite my own spark.
You know what's funny is that for some people, like having things that are like tedious, right? Um, deters people from doing things.
Mhm.
But for you, I feel like it's the exact opposite. Like for me, if there are a lot of pieces, if there is just like, granted, I'm gonna do it, but I'm gonna be hemming and hawing on the inside of my head.
Right.
Like, oh,
Right.
I can't believe that I've got to do this. I got to do that. There's so many pieces. There's so many of this, so much of that,
Hmm.
right? And for me, I don't want to say it's a deterrent, but your girl is definitely over here like, wow, how many more pieces could there be? And then if there's hand sewn, I really be like, do I have to hand sew or is there a way for me to do this on a machine? Right.
And she
Whereas I
says this
feel,
as I'm currently hand sewing
right,
the lining in of my jacket.
right. And you, on the other hand, are like, mm, this is going to take me forever to get this tailoring done. Let me make sure I do my muslin. Let me make 14 different versions of it to see how I can make this fit even better. And I'd be like, oh God.
Now, I ain't do all of that this year. We ain't do all of that now. Keep it cute. But keep it cute.
But you really be like, you really thrive in that, right? Whereas I do feel like for me, because I feel like I'm such and I think it's because, I started sewing out of necessity because I could not fit my clothes anymore after having a baby. So a lot of my sewing has been out of pure necessity. Like it's been a
Mhm.
thing of, well, I can't find pants that will fit my body that I legit like. So I have to make them. And so I really do feel like when it comes time for me to sew, I feel like my utilitarian sewing is what really makes me feel, um, I don't want to
The
say
best.
connected to the craft, but yes, the best because I know that as soon as I'm done making it, I'm about to put it on. Like how you would be buying your shoes and walking out of the store with your shoes on is
Right.
exactly how I feel about my makes. Like as soon as it's done, I'm like, oh, thank God, now I have something to wear.
And I think, but it also goes back to like there is there is like a piece in it that works for all of us.
Correct.
Um,
Yeah.
and we all come to it for different reasons. And this is like, it feels like it is really interesting because it like I always had the dream that I wanted to make the pieces that I've always wanted to see for myself.
Mm-hmm.
And in many ways, this feels like that's what I'm doing when I'm making stuff.
Mm-hmm.
As I'm up here just looking down to make sure stuff is laying right, um, and stuff. So she is getting a preview of one of my pieces.
And the preview is being enjoyed. Okay.
I'm excited. I'm excited.
I am too. Of course, now I'm sitting here like, well, I don't know if my frocktails look is gonna be
Girl, you better make it and put that shit on, like we
what,
said.
right, like these kids say, PTSO.
Because I mean, we got a week and a half. Put that shit on. It be we come for different reasons, and
You correct.
this is me for me.
You correct.
So I'm doing me for me. and nobody
Um,
else, child.
I know that's right. I know that's right. But yeah, I'm excited. I feel a lot more and one of the things, and I it's funny because I was having this conversation with of course, Aurora.
Hmm.
And we were talking about what we were, because of course I was preparing for this cruise, and we were talking about the things that I want to make for the cruise and stuff like that. And I think she happened to overhear me talking to you about this. And I was
Hmm.
talking about how I wanted to wear longer dresses and pants just because I'm a little insecure about my legs still. And so, for
Right.
those that don't know, last year I was diagnosed with both lymphedema as well as lipedema. And so, of course, with lipedema, it causes a lot of swelling and stuff like that in my legs. And then, of course, with lipedema, it causes, really like weird fat deposits to show up that can be a little bit tender. I don't say they're painful because they don't cause a lot of pain, but I also have a high pain tolerance. But for me, it can be a little uncomfortable because I'm just like, I have more swelling in my left leg than I do in my right ankle.
Hmm.
And that for me is something that I'm still not the most secure about. And so as I am preparing for frocktails, I am being mindful of kind of what's best for my health, which of course is to wear my compression socks because I'll be standing for a long time. And
Hmm.
so I have designed my frocktails outfit around being comfortable in a compression sock, you know what I mean, or
Okay.
a pair of compression socks. Because I do like to wear mini skirts and I do like to wear short shorts and I do like to wear these things. But I just am still insecure about the swelling in my legs.
Hmm.
But I'm really excited about what is in my head anyway, because we all know who I am as a person. Um, your girl's always going to wait till last minute. And I do feel like for this instance, it does have a lot to do with the like, I measured my hips today. In fact, my hips are 52.7 inches right now. But
Hmm.
like before I went on the cruise, they
Hmm.
were at 55 inches, right? So
Hmm.
there is already a larger difference. And dare I say, I'm trying to grow my glutes, right? Like I'm trying to
Look,
get a bubble butt. Like I want my butt to look like my kids' butts look
who
because
you telling? Because I was looking at this guy on the Instas the other day, and I'm like, God, who I
mhm,
gotta sell my soul to?
literally. And I'm gonna
Who-
tell you, it's gonna be your hamstrings, okay? You have to sell your soul to your hamstrings, okay?
No, see, here's the problem. Because I was like, Chad, no, my booty could never do that. Like, and I knew this, but I'm like, I've seen what you did for others, Lord.
This is what I'm saying. I'm like, I've seen what you've done. I've seen that you've grown women's bottoms that had nothing, and now, they got some cuppage happening. And I have something. I just need mine lifted. I'm trying to have a bubble butt. I want ass so fat you could see it from the front. I want to be
Look,
walking towards you and have people be excited that I'm coming, but really be excited about seeing me go. You
walk
feel me?
away, walk like, look,
When I walk, I want people to throw a quarter at my booty and have it bounce back to them into their pocket. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to have everybody be like, oh, she got to be going to all these with an ass like that. You feel me?
look. Let them know.
So,
Let them know,
anyway,
y'all. We diverged.
like
Pray for us.
your
We
girl
just
is
want
just
to
trying to
pray.
have like, I want my butt just
Cause
juicy.
summer, cause summer is coming,
Summer is coming. I'm
and
trying to be in somebody's sundress and booty bouncing.
look, no draws,
No,
just
I mean,
going.
well, maybe a little thong, 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 right? Because
Right,
Cisco made the song popular for a reason.
look,
And dare I
look up.
say, the thongs that I make myself are hands down the best thongs in the world.
I need to make more draws. I
You
ain't made some
do.
draws in a while. I
You
haven't.
need to just go ahead and make you a thong, 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 thong too.
Share this now, because that sounds uncomfortable. It sounds like chafing for me. I'm okay. Y'all divergent. We apologize. Um, but yeah, y'all, it is like this is one of those seasons, and this is one of those times that I'm this is I'm finding the joy-filled meditative practice in the sacred
Hand
special
sewing.
occasion. of this.
Mm.
And it is really having me think about how can I incorporate this more in my just daily life.
Yeah.
Like, because there is pieces of this that I love, and as I look at the outfit and the fabric that were chosen and the time and effort, I'm like, just in getting like putting this time and effort to get dressed is not something that I always do,
Hmm.
but I want to do more of.
But
So,
that's why I say, and I say it with intention, like when we choose our clothing, right? And when I talk
mhm.
about style, also shout out to me because I'm giving like I've got a style class coming up
Come
in
on,
person and I'll be in Detroit,
come
Michigan,
on,
like doing, giving speeches about style. And
look,
I'm geeked about it, right?
look.
But when I speak to people about styling, and I'm about to start to
Hmm.
offer styling services because I'm tired of being asked. But when I talk to people about this, right,
Hmm.
I don't say that you should just be getting dressed, right? Because when we are getting dressed, a lot of times there's I don't want to say a negative connotation around it, but it lacked the intentionality that comes along
Hmm.
with saying, I'm going to go ahead and adorn myself today, because
Right.
that has that intentionality of I'm choosing what I'm wearing and how I'm feeling in it, right? And the notion of even dressing for our gaze versus dressing for the gaze of someone else, right? And I know that as
Hmm.
women, we often get accused of, oh, she's dressing for the male gaze, or oh, she's dressing for the female gaze. Well, what about just dressing for our own gaze, right?
Look,
Um,
and that's it. Like it, just for the dopamine of it all, because
exactly.
now more than ever, that is what's necessary, is the dopamine of it all.
It is. It is. And for a really long time, there was that movement of like getting dressed to go to the grocery store and stuff like that. And
Hmm.
being like dressed up, going to the grocery store in your ball gowns or whatever. And you know what? I'm subscribed to that, right? Because
Hmm.
why not? Like I said, like why be basic when you can be extra? Like why choose to, and of course, if that's what aligns with who you are as a person and how you want to show up, then I love that for you. But if it doesn't, and you want to be dressed up and you want to adorn yourself with garments that are perfectly tailored to your body, right? Do that too. And I feel like there is so much joy that is found in dressing for our gaze versus centering how we look on somebody else.
Absolutely. And especially now, like it is, as we talk about political acts and just our sewing and stuff like that from a political perspective, now more than ever, we out here and needing like, and what they always say is that the movement always needs art. The
The
movement needs
movement needs art.
visualization.
Mm-hmm.
And really, as Beyonce said, we are the visuals.
We are.
And we need to be out here being the art. And as I'm looking at, and as I am working to better just encompass or understand dandyism in application, it really is that. Like
Yeah.
literally, especially starting back in the 18th century, literally, it was Black people who were seen as basically trinkets by
Mm-hmm.
the rich European classes. Um, to show that, hey, I have so much money that I can have this person as my plaything, as my little treasure. But then Black people took it on as like, well, look, I am worthy and important. And even when such things as sumptuary laws and Black codes and
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that try to stop how we adorned our bodies, we
Mm-hmm.
still took that thing on our own. And it's very interesting as I'm seeing there's been like just kind of these dog whistle style of conversations like what happened when gangsters started like stopped dressing like this and started dressing like that, from a perspective of, and they showed like the white mobsters
Mm.
compared to how people dress today, like as they call them, gangsters and stuff like that, not taking into account we were the creators of the zoot suit. Like
Yeah.
we've been doing this, or and
Yeah.
clearly you have not been seeing or been privy to the looks of when who was it? Um Ralph Lauren did the collection around Spellman as well as Morehouse. So
They're
like
doing another collection that they just finished photographing, right?
you know what, Jesus?
Mm-hmm.
My money ain't ready. I'm mad. My
Yeah.
money ain't ready. Because, like, look, the way I've been. the way I've been stimulating our damn economy sometimes, just
Yeah.
out of needing to buy my happy. But right now, like literally, the making of happy has been my like this is just as I am playing with thread that keeps on getting tangled up as I'm trying to sew on some damn buttons. And of course I chose shank buttons, so these got to be hand sewn on, hand sewn. And I have to hand sew them on before I even put in the lining of the sleeve.
Because they have to be in between.
Well, yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's so interesting what you said, even about the visuals of the revolution, right? And that makes me
Mm-hmm.
think back to how, of course, Black women are always scrutinized for wearing bonnets in public, right?
Right.
But I think that it's important to highlight how we were, in essence, forced to wear bonnets in public, right?
Absolutely.
And how, in New Orleans, how there
Yep.
were the Black women who were free. They were not enslaved, and how they were free, and how they would put adornments in their hair. And the white women saw the white men looking at these adornments in their hair and didn't like it. And so there was the law that was passed that they had to wear head coverings. And even with the
Mm-hmm.
head coverings, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not only was our hair healthier, right, when we finally took
Look,
them off, okay, because come on, Bonnie, because that meant we didn't have no sun damage, right? So our
look.
ends were not fried, okay? But then we began to put adornments on the headscarves
Mm-hmm.
because the visual is so important, right? And I think that
Mm-hmm.
even speaking on that is so important for just, again, like you said, where we are right now. I shared this week how when I on Monday I sent out a newsletter for the Atlanta Frocktails account because I do sometimes feel like if we don't speak our truths, then sometimes our promotion of a thing can come off as being tone deaf, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, like I said, especially in Atlanta, where we have the CDC and we've seen a lot of layoffs for the CDC, we've seen a lot of our community being impacted, specifically in DeKalb County, where it is I live.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I didn't want to make it seem like I was being tone deaf. So I did do like kind of more of a heartfelt note from me just to the Atlanta Fractals community about
Mm-hmm.
how us choosing to celebrate during this time is not us being tone deaf. Us choosing to celebrate during this time is choosing happiness and joy, and living in joy is an active revolution, right? We know that that is exactly what it was. And the reason why I said that, and I actually followed it up with a personal newsletter for my own newsletter because
Mm-hmm.
we received a comment on the Atlanta Fractals Instagram that was like, "Oh, times are too hard. Why are you still doing fractals?" And it's like because we're still choosing joy because joy is revolutionary, right? And if we
Absolutely.
allow external forces to steal our joy, then we've allowed other people to come in and control us because we know that joy is inside of us, right? Happiness, yes, I can be happy with you, Julian. Julian, you can make me happy. But you know where
Mm-hmm.
my joy is? My joy is
Yes.
found inside of me, and it can only be nurtured by me. It can only be fizzled out by me. It is me who controls the joy. And I feel like when times like this, it's really important for us to stay joyful. It's really important for us to nurture the joy. It's really important for us to be intentional about the joy, which is why I love seeing how hard you're working on this outfit because I know it's not for frocktails. It's not only for, this for the So Tailored um
Mm-hmm.
challenge, right? It's not just because it's celebrating the dandyism, but it's celebrating and it's like the physical manifestation of the things that bring you joy. And
Right.
because it's part of you, it's coming from you, it's part of you, it's being manifested by you and the things that drive you. And I think that during this time, we have to be intentional about one, nurturing our joy, and
Mm-hmm.
two, not pooping on those
Others.
who are choosing their joy as well. People are not a monolith. We can be fighting a revolution from in a traditional sense of actually fighting, but we can also have joy in those in the midst of it as well. Like we don't only have to choose one feeling and one emotion.
Correct. Absolutely. And especially in this time and age where y'all have taken so many things away from me.
Mm-hmm.
Like the things that like I ain't been to Target since January, but then I went because I had to get my LeBron James Ken doll.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the only place you could buy it after it was sold out in 3 minutes online. I'm still pissed about it, but we ain't gonna talk
Yeah.
about it. But I got the damn doll. I know that much. Um, and do not plan to go back because I'm like, look, you said who you are. I believe you. I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
But then also, of course, Joann's is gone or is
Yeah.
leaving. Now, of course, like there are stores like it's definitely happening in phases. And what is very interesting about this is that some of the stores that were like on that first block, chopping block to close and to shut down, it seems like stores in certain locations, the sale is selling more than like stores in my location. So I live in Ohio. I live in Cincinnati, Ohio. There are a total of one, two, three, like 5 or 6 stores. I've been to at least two or three. The sales ain't selling.
Mm-mm.
It's still like I'm still looking. They still like there are sewing machines in there still only 15% off. And that's the Joanne brand, the sewing machine.
Yeah.
I was looking online at like they had one of those Sullivan quilters table desks, and that was on sale. In my store, it was $279. Okay.
Whew.
Marked down from three something or whatnot. Or it was 239 marked down from three something. I then went and looked online. And online you could still see prices. And
Yeah.
online that table was 168. So I'm like, and the fabric and stuff like there's still a lot of it there because it ain't selling the way it's supposed to be selling. It's like the most I've seen is maybe 50% off here. But then somebody posted today a picture of a ditto in their store for $56.
$56.
$56. You hear me?
That's how much it's worth too.
Well, well, Jesus. Well,
JK,
Lord.
JK, JK, don't come for me, okay?
Uh,
Um,
but if you do, I mean, it is what it is. But then also, too, sadly, there has been some grumblings about they're kind of going back to the old ways of the ways of patterns. So what ha people have been experiencing or saying that they're hearing is that the patterns in store that were sold in store are being destroyed.
yeah.
So we have heard that supposedly there are workers going in and with trash cans and have been instructed by the liquidators to basically take the patterns and to put them in the dumpster and douse them in water.
Yep. Yep. And
So that cannot be sold, which is sad and is also just wasteful as hell. And
so wasteful.
as designers with know me and stuff like that, I'm like, damn, like that just feels like y'all trying to throw me away.
Well, not designers.
I mean, well, that's another conversation for another day and another space. Amen.
Got me
Holla.
over here leaving him speechless.
Well, y'all, look.
You know, I do it for
If
the
questions are
shock value.
asked, if questions are asked, they could be answered.
Yeah.
But yeah, but it's just kind of still like, but our stuff is still in stores,
Yeah.
period. And to now know that the stuff that we have helped create and stuff like that has been in stores is now going like just being thrown away. I would in a place been trying to buy them when possible.
Yeah. It's funny because like when I heard Joann's was going out of business, I definitely felt like I processed it from um a very not first person point of view,
Okay.
right? Like I was just like, oh,
Hmm.
it's going out of business. Let me do a YouTube video on this. Let me talk about this and blah blah
Right.
blah.
Hmm.
Also, let me make suggestions for where people can buy fabrics, blah blah blah.
Right.
But I gotta be honest, like walking into the stores right now
It's sad.
is
It's
very
sad.
sad. So, Julian and I were FaceTiming when so on, what was it?
Saturday.
Saturday?
Hmm.
Because of course, in true child of a sewist fashion, my daughter did not let me know that she needed a praise dance dress for her Easter
Easter.
performance within enough time. So we went to Joann's and I was just like, okay, cool. Let's just go to Joann's. And I was like, you have to come with me because I'm not doing this by myself. And when we got into Joann's, everything was gone. But this particular Joann's was going out of business 8 days.
Hmm.
Um, and they were like literally giving bolts of fabric away, essentially, right? And of course, one guess what they had plenty of?
Child. And
Fleece.
they will never get rid of. If
Right.
I see another fleece, I'm like, it just makes me itch. I'm just itching.
I'm just like, look, I'm good. I don't even know if I can come up with enough dog projects to make fleece worth it, right?
That part.
Um, but it was just sad because like going into the stores and literally seeing it so empty. And even
Hmm.
though, of course, I had my own personal beefs with Joann's because I was just like, I really feel like if we are selling patterns at Joann's, why
Hmm.
wouldn't you want to work with us and have your fabrics be found on the covers so that it's almost like a kit, right?
Child,
Like, I
look.
just feel like there were so many different marketing things that they could have done that would have resulted in like higher sales, whatever. I digress.
Hmm. Hmm.
But like going in, I was just like, I'm not gonna lie, your girl was almost getting choked up, right? Because the
Hmm.
last time I had been in, I was just feeling inconvenienced because I was like, I had loaded up a cart and this person in front of me was like taking forever to get through the checkout line. So I had to leave to go and pick up the kids and stuff like that and come back. So I was just feeling feelings of inconvenience. But like going in and seeing like the bare walls, like it was just a
Hmm.
lot. Joanne's has been with me from the time that I really got back into sewing as an adult, and has nurtured this, like, and even for like the Nomi patterns and stuff like that, like there were notions that I needed last minute. There were fabrics that I needed last minute, like my swimsuit was made
Hmm.
from fabric that I got from Joanne. So was like that cover up. The entire
Hmm.
cover was done in Joanne's fabrics. And so it's really sad to kind of be going through this along with them. It's hit me a lot harder than I expected. But I am also feeling like shocked that
Hmm.
they are just tossing things in the dumpster. There was a picture that someone posted, I think either on Reddit or Instagram, that was like, I'm in the dumpster where all these patterns are. So if there's something that you're looking for, like give me a shout and I can go through and see if I can find it here. And I was like, oh, this has to be just a one-off. But the fact that so many people are saying that this is like the standard, I'm just like, come on. Like for
And look,
what?
I'm ready to go over to my store and just be like, look, load up my car. Y'all ain't got to see this.
Yeah.
Just give them to me. Because I rather, like, I can use them for classes. I can teach people with them. There are so many different places that people are wanting to learn that, like, let's not. Like, these are could be good teaching materials for people.
Yeah.
Um, and it's just, it is the end of an era. And now, no, this is the second store, like major, like craft store that I have seen close. Because I remember I had started sewing when Hancock Fabrics was going out of business.
Same.
So I remember like how I still got fabric that I got because I was just decided that I wanted to sew and was
Mm-hmm.
able to get stuff. And but when I tell you them sales was better, I can tell you that much
Mm-hmm.
than what we see. Because literally, even the patterns, like they're still selling for 60% off. That is still basically more than what they were when they were on sale.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if y'all don't put this at $1.99 or 99 cents and just get this, like we would buy them up.
Yeah. But I think that we also have to remember that these sales are not being done by Joann's,
No,
right?
it's by liquidators and they're just trying to make money. And the way the patterns work is a little bit different. Like it is different. And basically the only person who really loses in this is in case of like Nomi and stuff like that, really is a designer.
It is. Yeah.
It really is the designer. So we got feelings, thoughts and
We do
thoughts.
have feelings, especially because like, so what I will say is that I have like being a commercial pattern designer has been cool, right?
Mm-hmm.
I will say that my favorite thing has been indie pattern designer, even though you get less accolades with that,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because I'm not in a store or anything like that, even though my most recent pattern has dropped. So please make sure you go and support, go buy
Come
it.
on,
Okay.
come on.
But as far as favorites go, definitely by far being an indie pattern designer because I get to have the final say. Like I get to make the choices. I get to do the drafting. I get to, you know what I'm saying? Like I can design whatever the hell I feel like designing and publishing it whenever I want to. So I love that. But there was definitely an ease. Wow, look at these buttons. Wow. Wow. And you just did it so easily.
Child, I
It
mean,
was so fast.
but it don't feel like I'm trying to make sure they lined up. Well, they're gonna be lined up enough.
Not lined up enough.
They're gonna be lined up enough. Lined up.
Um, But there is an ease that comes with being a commercial pattern designer because I don't have to do the drafting. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
also, if many people struggle with the out of sight, out of mind, especially because Simplicity has not really built out their PDF patterns, right?
Mm-hmm.
I do feel like they're doing an excellent job with doing sales to make it feel like close to the $1.99 sale that we were getting at Joann's, right? But
Mm-hmm.
I also do feel like because their patterns are not projector friendly without of course having to do
Some work.
some work to make it happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
It can be a challenge as far as accessibility of patterns go. And
Yeah.
as a designer, then that means that that has basically cut off most of it, especially because I also heard that Craft Foyer was
Mm-hmm.
also no longer offering patterns in
So
some stores.
some stores, what Craft Foyer is doing is that they are really basically, sadly, they're doing a Joann's and basically wanting to focus more on home decor and less on crafts. So, and sometimes what's crazy is that, especially with our patterns, is that they would not put them out, especially so like they're focusing more on the patterns that they feel meets their demographic and their market as well as um modesty.
Oh, well, my stuff's not going to be included then.
So
Somebody asked me,
yes.
they were like, could you make more modest sewing patterns? Absolutely not. Don't. I'm not.
Like, baby, do you not know me? I love you. I love you with the
But
love
I
of
feel
Christ.
like,
But no,
listen, we have enough deaconess outfits out there. Okay.
that, but
I'm designing for the sexy plus size baddie. That's who
look,
I is forefront
that's
of my mind for these designs. So for example, the bow polo that just dropped, right? Yes,
hmm
it is a polo shirt,
yes.
dress,
hmm
etc. But there is a crop top. There is a placket that is a 12-inch placket giving va va voom, giving
Right.
did you wear a push-up bra? Okay. There's different collar styles allowing different feels to come along with it, right?
You provide
I
options.
ex options, okay?
Option. Yes.
There
But
is that crop top, there's that mini dress. You can be giving leg, you can be giving midriff, you can be giving a little tete.
right, right. Praise the Lord. But it also speaks of you. And it does not
Yes.
like if there and I think with patterns and stuff like that, honestly, it is sometimes a lot easier. Well, it's sometimes it's a lot easier to slut it up than to slut it down for certain patterns. But I think look, I'm real. It's easier to chop off than to add on. But for some of these patterns, it also like there are options for you. Like
Yeah,
there's always been. And
right.
I think really what people have been asking for and wanting, and we've been hearing, is that we didn't want the same stuff that we've been sewing since the 90s or 80s in men's cases and look big and baggy. It looked like it's my granddaddy's, you know?
I
Like if I
mean,
want to
honestly, how many Raglans do we need?
shout a God in the name of Jesus, even though I'm thinking about doing a Raglan button up.
It's funny you say because I was like, I think I might do one too,
I
but
mean,
like,
you know, but it would not be the regular. It would be different. It
mm-mm,
won't be a t-shirt. I know that much.
nope.
Um, but it like if I want to look like I want to look like I want to like if I want to look like my granddaddy, I want to look like him in his prime in the 50s and 60s. Like that's my aesthetic and style. And I try to stick to the script of my aesthetic and style. That normally I cannot find in modern day patterns unless it is my own. you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Or but also like, I do shop the other men who know me and stuff like that because they are providing their own aesthetic and it's
Hmm.
different.
You know
And
whose aesthetic I love is Donnie's.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like I'm like the biggest Donnie stan.
Come on.
Um, I just love, but I also love how he barely smiles in his covers. I'm
Right.
not gonna lie, that might be my favorite thing in the world
Because he'll
because
give you a like very, very almost serious deadpan face. And then every so often you'll get a
he gonna give you a scotch of a smize. But
right.
honestly, it's my favorite. Okay.
It works.
Um, because
He
like
knows his
even that
angles.
the pants that he did that were kind of like the tear off pants or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
I thought those were fire, right? I
Mm-hmm.
loved his jacket that he did. I think that I really do like enjoy his aesthetic, whereas um I feel like we are probably more aligned with being maximalists. He's
Yes.
more of a minimalist, and sometimes that's what you
Utilitarian. Yeah.
want. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes, that's what you want.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we need that, right?
Right. Not in my
And
everyday life, because
not in
that
your
ain't my
everyday.
ministry.
Yes.
That ain't my ministry. But it gives a different it gives a different look.
Yes.
Where like, Scorp gave me similar to mine, but just like in a more he brought the African flair to it. There was like a
Yeah.
different level of masculinity where
There was
mine
a
was
level
more
of extraness.
yes, but it was a different it was an exotic like not exotic, but it was very much like urban
Yeah.
extraness.
Yeah.
And Norris does also very much streetwear style that
Hmm.
is like, I can pull pieces.
Hmm.
I can't do full, but because that's just not my thing. I don't
Right.
live that life.
It's funny. I would never, not saying I would never say that you're into streetwear, but like,
No, that ain't my
that's
ministry.
not you.
That's not my
Right.
ministry. Mm-mm.
And I
The
feel
Lord
like
knows.
knowing that about yourself is like such a beautiful thing too, right? Because it's
Hmm.
like, yeah, like I can incorporate.
Right. Incorporate, but you ain't about to catch me full big and baggy. That's just not my
Right.
thing.
No.
But also like Brandon happily dressed, like,
Love his aesthetic.
it is it's giving new and interesting in ways that I can then incorporate that into my wardrobe. And even
Right.
some of the women's like, from Marcia Kishi to Ravens, like, there are pieces that I can easily see how people can incorporate them in so many different styles and wardrobes. And if I'm not going to give you the modesty that you want, there are designers who do.
Correct.
You can easily get it
Correct.
from people in the community, and and at the same time also still celebrate those who have a different aesthetic than mine, and I can appreciate it,
Yeah.
and I think that's important that we also need to do is that, appreciate. And I think even like with frocktails, like we want to appreciate your artistry, whatever it
Hmm.
is. Understand that yes, it is called frocktails. Do you need to make everything that you wear? No.
No.
Even if you didn't want to make any of it,
Yep.
but you just want to come.
Yep.
That's fine.
It's fine.
You ain't even got to come in the thing. Just
No,
come.
just come. Because here's the thing, right? We know that when we are working in silos, which we tend to do as sewists,
Hmm.
it can get lonely, right? It can get
Hmm.
lonely. And um and I say it can get because it's not always, right? Because I got to be honest, I love being by myself. I feel like I am amazing company. I'm super funny, right? And I'm not gonna
Look,
lie, sometimes I just be sitting here, I keying to myself, like, oh girl, you are so funny.
and she does.
Um, yeah.
I've seen. Hmm. Hmm. She does.
But there's also times like, especially as we were sharing, like there are like times can are really hard right now. And as we're choosing joy, there's nothing like being surrounded by the people who you feel like get you, right? Like if I say to Denver, like, oh, I need fabric, he's gonna be like, girl, that's not what our garage says. But if I say to Julian,
Right.
I need this fabric or I can't find this or I need this. Julian is going to get what I mean, right? And just like shopping together is
Hmm.
something that like we don't get to do. Like
Right.
it's very, very rare for me to even see people come and take classes together with their friends and learning a new skill set with their friends or, doing this. Like I don't think I've ever been fabric shopping with my best friend. She has gone fabric shopping and been like, hey, can you make me something out of this? Right? Not knowing that what she wants made needs to be made from knit fabric, but
And
she
she
brought
up
me
here
woven fabric.
bought
Or
some
she,
denim
right.
and wanted a maxi dress that's gonna be
Okay.
flowy. Look,
Or bought
look.
me like chiffon and is like, but I kind of want something structured. Like, girl, I'm not about to be interfacing all of this to give you structure because I can, but I'm not going to, right?
Right.
So like having friends and having community in person is also so important, in my opinion, because in
Hmm.
fact, it's funny because like I tell Lee this often that she's created such a really beautiful community at Top Stitch that it's like it has been so helpful for me as I've navigated through different spaces in within the sewing community, right? Like
Hmm.
the fact that it's not just like one of those spaces where it's like, oh, we'll scoot down for you, we'll make space for you at the table, but it's like, no, we actually had space reserved for you and we were just waiting for you to arrive. You know what I mean?
Come
Like
on.
your seat is here. We were waiting for you to join us. And that type of environment for me is amazing because it's not just inclusive of race, it's inclusive of size, it's inclusive of gender, it's inclusive of how you identify, it's inclusive of sexuality, it's inclusive of, being extra, being maximalist versus minimalist. It's simply you want to learn to sew or you are a sewist. We have space, we're waiting for you at our table. Um and so to be surrounded by people like that when you are potentially, you know, navigating a Joanne-less world or having to pay tariffs on fabric being shipped overseas
We ain't
or
even talking about that yet because I ain't
right,
ready. I ain't
right.
ready.
We are not having that full conversation. But I'm
Hmm.
just saying that like it's so nice to have that space in person, you know?
Hmm.
So,
Hmm. Absolutely. And it's especially, I do love how China played this, basically saying, well, look, because you want to know about all the things, I will
ooh,
tell you where you can get everything and how you can get it. Did I go on said yellow app and buy me a firkin?
a firkin.
And not just a regular one, but a 40 centimeter hack?
Hmm.
Am I waiting for said
Because
firkin
listen,
to
go
arrive?
big or go home, okay?
We are waiting for said firkin to arrive. Praise the
Hmm.
Lord. Um,
Hmm.
yes.
Yep. Yep.
Look,
Yep.
so it should be here in a few weeks.
I'm
Um,
excited.
and it better, and it actually I'm mad because it goes with my outfit, so I'm gonna have to figure out a way to wear this again.
Listen, Denver was walking by
Hmm.
as Julian was working on his jacket, and Denver was like, "Oh, that's a good looking jacket." Now, of course, Julian over here highlighting what we can do as sewists, putting the pressure on,
Look,
putting the pressure on me. You
I
know
mean,
what
you
I'm
said you
saying?
wanted to. I'm
You
just,
right.
I'm just helping you. I'm just providing inspiration. That's it. That's all.
He was like the fabric. I was like, really, the fabric?
Now, I mean,
Okay.
now the fabric is it now because the fabric was not cheap.
I said
Hence,
that Jamaican is coming out, sir. I'm here for it.
look, he ready to put it on his damn self. Look.
Okay. Okay.
He's giving some sapiors in out of the Congo. Because like so my jacket I'm using for those who are listening. And because there might be video, you never know.
There is gonna be video because that's what we committing to.
But and my thing is blurred because I don't know how to unblur it because it's blurred in some other camera setting and I can't get to it yet. But it is a Gucci jacquard print, that I'm literally using the inside of. So it is the actual outside of the fabric is like a Gucci logo print with about inch and a half rainbow stripes. The inside of it is a navy blue base with all the G's and stuff like that in the stripes of the rainbow. So I decided to use the inside. That also
Hmm.
makes the G's backwards for most of the
Hmm.
jacket. But from an editorial and a cultural examination perspective, because I
Speak
done
on it,
had
speak
to
on it, speak on it.
analyze this. It is backwards as hell for me to use somebody else's logo and plaster it across my back.
Mm-hmm.
So why not be put it backwards? Huh. Why
Yeah.
not? Why not?
Mm-hmm.
So the most of the body of the jacket, um, the fabric is backwards. But then for the lapels and stuff closest to my face, it is forward because I want to use both sides of the print because I like both sides. But that is kind of where it is because I've heard people say like since I've shown it and I talked about that in a live because I've been sharing the lives of my process. Probably won't share more of the jacket anymore because it is about done and I want to keep some things to keep some things. Um, but it is very interesting that process and having to explain that like it literally is as me as a sewist, I should not be wearing other people's labels on me and
Mm-hmm.
not my own. So now I also need to find a custom fabric maker so that I can then design my own label, my own Julian Creates logo for fabric. It has to,
Mm-hmm.
it has to happen now. I need my own like monogram fabric. That is me. I have to do it. I have to do it.
I'm like, would it just be the J or would you do JC?
It has to be a JC with probably some type of like thread or needle or something like that in it.
Mm-hmm.
Probably like so the way that my current logo is like the way the J is very similar to how I sign my name.
Mm-hmm.
So probably something along those lines. But like with I want either I could see it almost being like the Louis Vuitton monogram where I have
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm-hmm.
little notions in between and just the JC or something
Ooh.
like that. Or like maybe like some type of thread or something like that that's connecting stuff. I don't know. I'm thinking
Yeah.
about it. I'm thinking about it. But I need my own like I feel that that's now important to me, especially as we're
Yeah.
going into this time and especially when you think about it from a visibility perspective. People need to see me, not only in the sewing that I do online, but in my everyday life. And I wear my clothes. So,
Correct.
how can I now show up differently as an intersectional Black queer man
Mm-hmm.
who's educated, who's in spaces where decisions are made, um, who's able to engage with different populations and different people, but I need them to know that they are going to see me and they're going to hear me because I have things to say and I matter and I'm important and I'm a part of
Facts.
this ecosystem that you're going to listen to.
Yeah.
That's what's
Well,
important.
I will say that our podcast listeners are already that. And I say that as someone who reads the comments. Literally everyone loves Julian. So,
Yeah,
um,
I'm just here.
the platform is there. You know what I mean? The people are ready and willing.
Well, y'all, look, we ride it down, get your outfits together. We look, and especially there are so many other fun things that are happening because you
Oh
got the
yeah.
Feasters Parade, which is around, I think it's the end of May around Pentecost, which is also a historical Black event that happened in the Eastern Seaboard area, so like New York and stuff like that, where
Hmm.
a lot of times, and it talks about it in Slaves to Fashion as well, where this was a time that they were off, and it is related to Pentecost and there was a parade and they dressed up in finery and stuff like that. You have Juneteenth. Though it may not be, they try to take away the federal holiday, we still gonna celebrate it.
Because
In
we are.
other places, and no, Juneteenth ain't the only celebration of emancipation. In places such as like Shelbyville, Kentucky, I think it is, they have 8th of August. That's when they found out earlier than June 19th. But there are different celebrations. Oh yeah, there's other celebrations compared to when you learned about it, all
Hmm.
after um New Year's of 1863. So there are so many different other ways that you can celebrate. Check in your local area. Check like there are fabric stores, there are stories that are being told that we must make sure that we are not losing in this time. Understand that they're trying to take our education, our history, our identities away in so many
Whew.
different ways and spaces. We have to now be the keepers of those
Yes,
things.
we do.
It really has to go back to oral traditions of how we have done things in the past, the way that we still know our traditions, our histories, our
Yeah.
stories. our myths, our mythology, and stuff like that is through storytelling. And
Right.
understand that yes, the school might not teach you, but you can
No,
learn at home.
but we know that griots within the community are actually the ones who are the maintainers of history, right?
Correct.
And
Correct.
not only do we have it through mouth, but we do need to make sure that we are buying up all of those books because we know through reading, of course, as well as through history, as well as through art that
Hmm.
mimics history, right?
Correct.
That during times like this, the first thing to go are going to be the books. And we have already seen it with books being banned. We have already seen it with courses being dropped. We
Yep.
have already seen it with I don't even want to say the misinformation, right? But we've already definitely seen it with the the redo or the remembering of a history, right?
The revision. It's the
Right.
revisionist.
That ooh.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
the other thing to also remember is that all skin folk are not kinfolk. Right.
Look, Jesus. And that
Because
does not even mean from a race perspective.
no.
I'm just letting
Uh
y'all know now.
yes. That it does not matter what color their skin is if they say things like we benefited from slavery. We know that's not the truth, right?
This cuss out is for everybody if you come at me crazy.
And just
So
like
you know.
the people, some people be out here giving out invites to the cookout.
Mm-mm.
Cookout invitations can be revoked. Okay.
Quickly.
Just like black cards. Okay.
Quickly. And understand that just because we have the commonality of sewing, or you just want to focus on sewing, I'm sorry, but sewing is a political act in my book. And that's also something that needs to be taught. Because understand that this is gonna sound, this might be controversial. Because many people call this a granny hobby, and which it is sometimes. But I'm taking it, I'm not allowing this whole trad wife um ideal or
Right.
like this trend and stuff like that to take something that I find joy in,
Mm-mm.
that can be for all people from a
Yeah.
perspective of creative self-care. You're not
Correct.
taking this from me. We're not going back into genderizing everything. Now, if you want to, that's your business. Again, there are certain things I'm not going to wear because that just doesn't feel right for me,
Right.
or things I'm not going to do because that's not going to be right for me. I'm not placing that on anybody, and I know we can coexist. But if you try to take my sewing away from
Mm-hmm.
me, we
Mm-hmm.
gonna have a problem. Because I'm crafty, and I could be a crafty bitch if you want me to be.
Oh my God, not Julian over here delivering threats on the podcast.
It ain't a threat; it's a promise. We could make it a show. We could make it call it a sewing bee or whatever. I can show you other things I
He
can do.
said we could call it a sewing bee. Sir,
We
we're
we can call
speaking
it a
peace.
pageant. We can call it a pageant with my specialities and talents. Play with it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just letting people know. I'm just saying. Just
No,
saying.
I'm just saying.
I'm just saying in the name of Jesus. How about
Um,
that?
but and even though this is definitely off topic, but one of the
Yes,
things that
we
I
went
really
somewhere. My
do,
bad.
um, but obviously I'm digressing, continuing with you, right? One of the, because I obviously as a younger, and I'm actually not that damn young because I'm middle age at this juncture,
I
right?
mean, look, but in this day and age, I mean, we all gonna have student loans forever. So, also, can we talk about that? Because sure enough, no, none of my stuff is in default. I've been paying in forbearance. Like they automatically put my stuff in forbearance forever. But I'm sure not thinking about going back to school because I'm like, look, yeah,
They said you have to be disenrolled 50%, right?
you're gonna have to get it out in blood. I will show them go back and get that fashion design degree. Play with it.
He said, you know what? I've actually been itching. I just needed a reason.
Look,
I just
I've been
needed a
looking.
reason.
I've been looking. I've thought about it. Play with it.
Um, but yeah, I'm here for that.
Hmm.
Um, but I can't imagine being a black man who quilts.
But I know some, and they are amazing, especially some
Same.
men who have been doing it for years and ever, who do portrait quilts, along the lines of like Beast Butler, but a little different and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
that's amazing. And quilting is not, I do it. I wouldn't always call it my ministry, but just sewing and like being in these spaces, it's very interesting being in a lot of these like sewing creative spaces as a guy, as a black guy. Um, it sometimes like how people perceive us as dangerous and like all the different stereotypes that people put on black men. You go into these spaces and you going in like, oh, I'm wanting to learn, or oh, I
Yep.
love this and stuff like that. And that's the first thing they see. Like you have no space or place to be here. Sadly. Sadly. Again, it's sometimes I feel that same thing, and I'm on ads in people's stores with machines.
Yeah, and it's crazy because like even when we think about like knitting and crocheting, some of the best knitters and crocheters that I have met
Hmm.
are men.
Well,
Um, but man, that was a very big digression.
I don't know how we got there, but here we are, y'all. Y'all meandering with us. Y'all know y'all be getting us every week, so y'all be getting what comes as it comes. And we give y'all we just give y'all stuff. But hopefully, one thing that we want y'all to get from today is if you are thinking about buying a ticket for Frocktails, there is still time. The tickets are still available. It is May the 3rd. Starts at what, 6 to 10?
6 to 10.
6 to 10. It is at Top Stitch Atlanta. So it is in a sewing space. You can, especially if you're in the Atlanta area, you can definitely check out the space, learn about the classes. There are going to be some amazing sponsors. People on the podcast might be giving away things. There might be a chance to win a one-on-one session or two with me to talk about it could be if you have questions about sewing machine purchasing a vintage sewing machine, button ups, collars, sewing menswear, all those things from a Zoom perspective, one-on-one with me.
Yeah.
Just saying. Just saying that's a possibility. But also the day before, or no, the day of, so early in that morning, so it is there is like action-packed full weekend. I will be doing a meetup at Fine Fabrics in Jonesboro, Georgia.
Hmm.
Um at the opening time. Last year I came too early. I think I came an hour early.
I think you got
Got
there at
there.
9 and they open up at 10.
Yep. So I will be there at 10 this time.
Hmm.
But definitely, if you are coming into town or something like that, or just want to meet up and shop for a little bit, I'll at least be there from probably like 10 to 11. But definitely come and check out, there are so many different fabric shops. If you ain't checked out, I've heard good things about Fabric Joint. Um,
Hmm.
so go to, what is the other one?
There's
Gilcare?
Fabric Joint, Fabric World that's on 78 and Stone Mountain, which is
Okay.
about 20 minutes away from Top Stitch, which is the location for Frocktails. Fabric Joint, which you've already mentioned, is like literally 5 minutes from, it's right around the corner.
Mm.
Then of course we've got Fine Fabrics. We also have oh my goodness,
Gilcare or
Gail K,
okay.
and there's two locations of Gail K. So we have, and so, I feel like that's one of the main reasons why, like, I'm not saying that I'm not affected by Joanne's closing because, like I said, I'm still very sad, but
Y'all got options.
yeah, we have a lot of options that are open for in-person shopping as far as that goes. And then of course, at Top Stitch Atlanta, we also have Second Stitch,
Hmm.
which has donations. And then in Atlanta, we also have Scrap Atlanta, which
Hmm.
also is a secondhand craft store as well. So we have options.
And for me, like, I guess I've been used to doing online like fabric
Shopping,
shopping
yeah, same.
forever. And and again, like even for patterns and stuff like that, I love a good vintage pattern. So places such as Backroom Finds, Stephanie Cannon,
Hmm.
stuff like that. Like that's the main place that I go. And she has amazing like 70s, 80s vintage style fabrics. Or even like 50 styles, some of the prints and different things like that. Like that's a first line place that I will go to. Um, and I think even with this, and we'll talk about this maybe in another episode or something
Hmm.
like that. Like we'll provide some more resources of how we do things, and ways to prepare as we are really seeing that shift in the industry. But we're gonna be all right. As Kendrick said, we're gonna be all right because we got to be, and we can make this look good, and be
Facts, and we
fine.
can.
and be
And we
fine.
can.
As I have sewn on 10 buttons. Praise
25
the Lord.
buttons.
10, just 10, just 10 at this moment. I still have what, 6 or 7 more to do? 7? Yeah.
I mean, I'm not gonna say that I'm about to whip out a needle and thread and join you in hand sewing, but I did get my, of course, my frocktail shoes in, and I do think I'm gonna do some hand embroidery on it.
Come on, you better head and border. Can we
I
also
know.
can we get
Wow.
a moment for the back?
Sometimes you just make me sick because of how talented you are. Like, I really just be like, it's not fair. You know what I'm saying?
Eh, I thank God. I thank my mama.
Not talking about something. I just want to give a shout out to Jesus.
Shout
Wow.
out to Jesus. So there's still some pressing that needs to happen, but yeah.
That that purple on the inside is giving me purple rain. It's giving me Prince excellence. It's giving me purple rain,
Yes.
purple rain. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm just
Hmm.
like, wow.
And with the so tomorrow, like the only things I really need to do now are I need to lengthen. So the one thing I did have to do after I put it together is I did have to go and lengthen my sleeves.
Hmm.
And it's funny, like somebody said, like, you shouldn't say about the mess ups you made. I'm like, well, no, I don't. I need
No.
people to know it needs
Yeah.
like I do this on purpose because it ain't perfect, and I want people to sew and
Right.
not feel like
Yeah.
everything is perfect. So I did definitely had to do an alteration. So I learned how to lengthen sleeves. I had brought my sleeves down about an inch. Um so there's still some pressing that needs to happen there. And there's some little ripples right here that I need to figure out. But luckily the lining, I'm gonna press it. I probably ain't even gonna take this to the cleaners because this fabric is plastics and fantastic. So gotta be real careful with it.
Yeah.
So I might do that, but even like the whole under collar versus top collar, that's all been hand stitched on. Um, of course, full pad stitching because there are no fusibles in my jacket.
Mm-mm. I like I said, I was talking about you in class. I was like, now I don't love a sew-in interfacing,
Yeah.
but you know who does?
I, I,
My
I
bestie.
I ain't say I loved it, but this required it. Like this felt like the right option. This felt like, sometimes you just got to. Sometimes you just got to. And of course, there are two inner buttons and stuff like that, but I'm proud of it. And then, of course, we got the brooch. And I'm loving the jewelry for this. The
It's
jewelry
so
is giving
good.
me everything.
It's so
Um,
good.
so yes, we're excited. We're
Not
excited.
me over here like, oh, I found my trim for my for my not started outfit.
You're like,
And
look at my lace.
I know I gotta work on it tomorrow because I have to redraft the cups, of course, for my bustier, but it's giving.
Yes. Yes. So I can top. And hopefully my glasses will arrive in time because I had to get some
Hmm.
glasses.
Hmm. It's funny because like I'm not gonna say that I was feeling bad about how much work that you were doing on this
Hmm.
for Atlanta Frocktails and like being like, oh man, he's doing all this work and blah, blah, blah. But I do feel a lot better because like after, of course, this conversation slash this podcast recording and just hearing how fulfilling it is for you to go ahead and do this level of detail. And even though I knew that like this is something you enjoy and stuff like that, but like it's it's of course, a trauma response for me is I'm just like, oh, please don't make a big deal about anything that has to do with me. I'm just going to be like in the background, which is why like being the host of Frocktails and having you tell me like, no, you should be in blue because you're Alice. Like you're the host. This is what you're, and I'm still like, oh
Hmm.
no, it's too much. Let me sit back. Um, it's still hard for me to be like, oh yeah, you should have absolutely done all of this for this event, as opposed to feeling like, oh man, you shouldn't have had to do that for this. And, but like I
But I
love
didn't do it.
hearing that. Right.
Yeah,
Like, but
this is
have
for
loved
me.
hearing that this was fulfilling for you. And you know what I
Absolutely.
mean?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Oh, also, got a little bunny hat pin. You gotta see the hat pin. Cause,
Now I'm
cause I,
like, what I want you to know, I'm like, I wonder if if I can find a hat. Because I was thinking about doing like a more of a top hat, like a Mad Hatter hat.
Amazon, if that's where you want to shop. But look, I have to go where I can find hats in my size, and Amazon had it. So praise the Lord. So no judgment for me. If y'all want to judge, y'all can, but it is what it is. But y'all, hopefully y'all will sense our excitement and want to join us for Frocktails on the 3rd of May. Tickets are still available. You can definitely find them in the description of the podcast this week, where there will be a link to buy.
Hmm.
And until next time, y'all, probably next week we might do what we did last year in the lead up to podcast where she sews and I encourage it on live. Praise the Lord.
Hmm.
Praise the Lord.
Hmm.
But until next time, y'all, remember we are in a time where joy is our is our armor. Joy is our weapon. We are showing the world that we are still here, that we're still thriving in all the craziness that there is. So
Hmm.
how are you making sure that your iron is sharpened and that you are ready for the fight? Till next time, y'all.
Ooh, that
Stay
was good, Julian.
audacious. More than ever, stay audacious and stay sewing. Talk to y'all later.
Bye.